In traders, Gates Adams here with The Forged Trader, where successful traders aren't born, they are forged. Of course, we are talking about trading today. Trading involves risk. Please make sure you know what you're doing before you do it. Okay. All right. So I have to apologize. My consistency with going live and sharing these recaps has just been I'm just going to go ahead and say garbage. It's just been rough. The last week had a lot of other stuff going on, and just trying to get back to some level of consistency with all of the things that are important to me. I know this is what I preach. I know that this is such a key factor to whether or not I'm being successful, not just in trading, but in everything that I do. And so it's been a challenging, it was a challenging week for sure. So to the best of my ability, I'm going to give you some recollection as to what happened over the course of the last week. My account structure, as you can see, is a little, well, off, right? So I'm trying to go back in time here and see if I can refresh what was what. On Thursday, I think it was Thursday, I had, in one sense, a really good day. My two primary accounts, which you can, let me just make this bigger here, right? There we go, right? So my two primary accounts, 64 and 65, have continued to steadily rise and increase. And then what used to be non-existent, 67, 68, and 69 are new accounts because I failed some accounts. So since I'm using the trade copier, that might open up some questions. So let me share some answers to some questions. So again, I think it was Thursday. I think Thursday was the main day that I had a little bit of a day. On account 64 and 65, I was up about $1,000. One was just over $1,000. One was just under $1,000 to doing with a little bit of the slippage. What happened to my other three accounts is they basically tanked about $2,000. And so what ultimately happened was, first and foremost, I wouldn't normally be going for $1,000 profit. I had some entry glitches with the copier. Not the copier's fault. This was 100% Gates' fault. And I ended up off kilter. So two of my accounts were where they needed to be, and three of my accounts were actually on an opposite sequence. So when I was entering a trade, I was closing a trade on the other accounts, and vice versa. As I was closing a trade, I ended up entering a new trade. And I kind of had this freak out moment. I tried to fix it. In my attempts to fix it, I significantly increased my position in this complete debacle shit show. And I can laugh about it now. I wasn't laughing on I think it was Thursday, the day that it happened. So anyway, the whole thing, just one thing compounded into another, and finally I was like, just fuck this. Let me get out of everything and shut it all down. Well, that pretty much happened right as I was blowing the first out of the three accounts that were on the opposite sequence. Now, I thought I had blown all three, so I went ahead and I went in, and I was trying to renew my account, or trying to reset the account, which actually, because of the sale going on, yeah, it's half price resets, but it's 80% off, so 50K account was actually cheaper than resetting the old one. And so I went through, it looked like I still had about a $200 buffer on the other two accounts. They hadn't completely been blown yet. So I reset one account. I had two accounts that were up $1,000. So like they were deeply progressed towards, now at that point, well over $1,000 into that $3,000 target. And then I had two accounts that basically only had a $200 buffer. And so I traded on Friday. I believe it was Friday. Again, I think my days are properly, I think they're correct here. And I ended up having just a nice, solid, positive $300 day. I was a little over $300. However, the two accounts that were so close to blowing in a retracement while I was in the trade, it ended up blowing those two before it went my way. So those were gone. And so ultimately, I was basically faced with that final decision. It's like, okay, so what I decided was that number one, I don't think I'm ever going to trade more than 4 contracts. Number two, as long as I'm following my rules, I don't think I'm going to hit a $1,500 stop loss based on the way that I'm trading. So I decided for those two, instead of re-upping it at 50K, I went ahead and went in at a 25K, just for the factor of passing faster. So that was my intention. So as you can see, I have 2 50K accounts that are at about 51.6. I have one 50K account that was traded on Friday and today, and that's at 50,507. And then I have 2 25Ks that I set up on Friday after I had blown my other 2 accounts. And so I've only traded them today, and as you can see, they're up to 1984. So that's kind of the recap, the catch up, right? In terms of the actual trading activity. The big lesson for me this week was check your fucking copier. Again, all of the information was there at hand for me to realize exactly what was going on. And I think, honestly, I must have actually hit buttons to deselect a couple of the accounts. I'm not exactly sure what happened or how it happened, but it ended up, I ended up very much off kilter from where I wanted and needed to be. So anyway, that's kind of the update. I'll also, by the way, I should mention that I do think that the copier has a level of protection. If you're in a trade, it won't let you have your exit for that trade be the entry of another trade. The copier will kind of fix that. But I wasn't actually in a trade with like a stop. I was manually trying to correct the issue because I was, I ended up positioned way too big. So anyway, for whatever all of that's worth, I'm a big believer in the copier. To me, it's the only way to go. So I did not want to, I know that the previous iteration of the copier had some issues with that, and I think that they've protected against that as long as you're not being a buffoon in the way that you're entering and exiting trades. So all of that said, big lesson for me, of course, was to make sure that my setup is all as it needs to be. Everything is copying as it needs to be. All of my charts are where they need to be. What I'm doing now in terms of my charting is I am actually, and I can actually pull this up, I'm actually trading on NinjaTrader because I don't like, you can see all the charting over here. I do not like trading on Tradevate and then copying on NinjaTrader. That to me seems a little dicey. And so I'll share with you what today looked like because I've got that, right? So this is my NQ chart. That's at 2 minute. Let's look at the hourly just to kind of, again, you get used to certain things. All right. So on the hourly, we're clearly in a pretty solid downtrend here. So what I saw was we were here in the pullback, just as we had been a couple times before. I was looking for a break of structure. On the high side, I did not expect that we were going to break structure there. So as you can see, my entry was expecting to be short as we broke structure on the retracement. I did have a moment where I was looking at this and I thought, well, we may be breaking structure out of the downtrend, and we did a little bit. We just didn't go enough for it to really be a break of structure. I just figured it was a fake break, and then basically took that as an opportunity to see that we were probably going to make a big move downward. So I ended up entering my short. I don't think that's actually an accurate representation. So as we broke the trend line for the retracement, I didn't necessarily want to see a pullback onto that. I just figured that was where we were moving. So we broke here. I entered here and I took profit at a spot that, based on the simplicity chart and the apex charts that I use on NQ that I use to monitor and where I actually take my trades, there was going to be a resistance, or excuse me, a support level there. So I took half of my position off there. That was about 50 ticks, if I'm not mistaken. And from there, I wanted to target. Actually, I wanted to target this line here, because not only was this line a previous support level, I guess, where it goes all the way back here. Yeah, so it was, I'm sorry, a previous support level. Big bounce from that quite a while back. But this was also right at settlement. So basically, I was targeting settlement. Now, I have the Trader Bacon show on Monday mornings. And so as I was in this trade, it got to be about 9:15, and I generally will log in about 9:45 to get everything set. So I kind of just thought, well, let's go ahead and tighten up the stop here and protect some of these profits, because I didn't want to have to monitor it as I was getting ready for the show. And it ended up coming back and hitting my my stop, which was, I don't know, somewhere in this range. Oh, yeah. Yeah, my apologies on that. You can't see any of this. Oh, the buffoonery of... Anyway, so I got in right as it broke the structure of the trend line on the retracement of the major trend, which you can see the trend line is coming down here. As it broke up here, I kind of figured it was going to be a fake break based on everything that I was seeing. And then as it broke structure down here, I entered. I was targeting this support line, which was also settlement. But as it came down, I took my first position off at 50 ticks and protected a little bit of profit, knowing that I had the show. And as it started to, I want to say right around here, it started retracing. Let me move it into the 2 minute and see where we were. Yeah, so, no? Yeah, I'm not sure. I'd have to, oh, no, that's 9:30, right? Okay, so yeah, I guess where was settlement? Let me see if I can see it on the other chart. 17,180. So I was targeting settlement, yeah, which is right about here. So, now by 9:28 I was already out. So we'll look at the 1 minute here. That was right here. So I set my stop pretty tight right here. Let me zoom in on that. Sorry, this turned into a shit show. So anyway, tightened up here. As it came back, it hit that stop. I was targeting down here. If I had just rested, sat it out, I would have hit that target. That would have been awesome. It would have been an additional, I don't know where I got out, but was roughly, 215-ish. And I would have gotten out at about 280 or 183. So I don't know, another 30 points on 2 micros, nothing to sneeze at, but nonetheless, it is what it is. So as I actually started the show, it had already hit what would have been my target. And so I had the opportunity to share a concept that was shared with me a long time ago that would just rang true in a lot of, I don't know, for me, I have to remind myself of this. In order to be a successful trader, you have to realize that trading is inherently dissatisfying. You can always just sit there and say, I could have gotten in a little earlier. I could have stayed a little longer. I could have gotten just a little bit more off of this trade. And just the reminder of that concept really helps me in moments like these where, yeah, circumstances had me tighten up my stop. I wouldn't have been stopped out if I didn't have the show. I would have gotten the extra 30 points. That would have been cool. But at the end of the day, I was up a little over $200, almost $220. And to me, that's a great target day. I love it. Over 5 accounts, that's over $1,000. So just a good reminder that it's not always going to go exactly the way you see it, even if you're right. So anyway, excuse me, that's it for the day for me today. I will do my best to try to remain consistent, get back in here tomorrow and throughout the rest of the week. Anyway, I appreciate you guys who sat through this abysmal recap. Obviously, I'm out of practice from not having done it much last week, but I will try to clean that up for tomorrow and be a little bit more prepared as well. Anyway, thanks for hanging out with me today. I appreciate you guys. I love you all. God bless, and I will chat with you